Welcome to Secure Management Faculties, where your mind is key before you unlock what is seen. Secure Agent Dreyfuse. For the channel standards below, sell your guns tab, follow the prompts. If you need to sell a gun that you no longer want, you want some extra currency, hit that sell your guns tab, send that firearm out, get that extra currency. If you need to contact me, go to securemanagementfaculties.com. The link is below. Follow the link, hit establish contact next to my image, and send me a message and I will respond promptly. If you want to support the channel, the only rule is if you send any currency through the cash tab for Secure Management Faculties down below, make sure it is for a reason. Do not send other than for a reason that is specifically towards some sort of motivation or indirect service or direct service that I provided for you. And if it's just thanks, please give a reason to that thanks as overall, broadly, or a specific topic that I may have covered. All right, let's jump into what we can call ethics. Again, we're going to be describing the image presentation. Right to the right-hand side, you see the definition in the diagram, ethics, and the corresponding pictures and image with the descriptive image view of the search. To the left-hand side, you will see the actual concentrated focus through the magnifying image that is projecting the definition in its highlighted form. So we'll be talking about ethics, and this may be a little bit more rocky a bit as far as discussing what ethics are and the flaws of ethics, trying to get into a bit of pros and cons, but expect a sense of subjectivity with a sense of objectivity, and just pick and play or pick and remember what is most qualifying to the quality of you as far as this discussion in regards to ethics and what you possibly can do to make ethics better in your life. Okay, so ethics are moral principles that, given a person or has a governance over a person's behavior or the conducting of an activity. Again, moral principles that govern a person's behavior or the conducting of an activity. Now, I want to really hone in on specifically on what is the moral principles and the governing of a person's behavior. Now, the conducting of an activity can be the relationship between any and everything in general. So specifically in this definition of ethics that can be found and searchable with ease by standard looking for under the context through the web, we're just going to focus on the moral principles and the governing of a person's behavior. Now, before we even need to talk about the governance of a person's behavior, we're going to talk about the source of what that behavior is being governed by, and that will be the morals. And that will also be the ethics. I want to talk about two forms of ethics, and we're going to be talking about stabilizing ethics, and we're going to be talking about flexible ethics. Flexible ethics can be more or less in context a mixture between a stabilizing ethic, or it can just simply be a more softer ethic or a more harder ethic. Again, pulling from the yin-yang spectrum. But stabilizing ethics are more heart-grained, are in place, and I'll be setting the example right now. So we're going to be taking from the feeling of the biblical ethics here. And in this example, the idea that is what is correct and what is natural, right, to human beings in existence, right? Ethics, right? Male, female, union, marriage, things of this nature. And the ethics for this personified and also formed into objective acts of concentration up into how we focus our constructs of social configurations in this world. It is actually designed by nature for the most part. And so let's say you have a stabilizing ethic that is born in the idea of that this should be right, because of the fact that it's so prominent in nature and it's so prominent in our society. And so for the most part, let's say 95% or 99%, you will be correct. But when you start to dwell into certain challenges to challenge that ethic, stabilizing or flexible, you'll find that ethics themselves, no matter how strong they are, they will have a considerable breaking point depending on the reality that birthed those ethics in the first place. Here's an example. Again, pulling from the biblical personification of male and female in context. I want to note here that there's no specific fixation of my point being explained here with a personal adherence to a desire for me to want to be favoring either side of the point. We are strictly talking from a state of what it means to be unbiased and neutral based off of the information that is provided. So getting back on topic, speaking about the biblical personification of the relationship between male and female and the ethics. Pretty much the ethic for that is that there is no other way of kinship or companionship unless it's through the veil of being expressed through these two gendered individuals or existing occupying consciousness in the female spectrum and male spectrum, as far as what it means as in companionship with the intimacy that goes beyond social configuration, if you will. What I'm getting at is that this holds par for the most part. And so, without consequence, I'm going to bring up the gay and lesbian occupants that occupied that position that is in opposition of those biblical personifications. And for the most part, people will resist this and they would hang dear to the manuscript that has been written biblically, and or they will hang towards the practical, environmental, and natural, the way that nature does predominantly with the relationship between the male context and the female context. Now, with that said, we have a case, and again, we're talking about a strong, prominent case of 95 to 99% until that stabilizing ethic has encountered a real life controversy of challenge. You see, the discussion of ethics today is not about having them in place, but more it's about the understanding of the things that you put in place, the morals and principles that you govern yourself with, and the context with that certain stabilizing ethics are not up for review when they should be. Therefore, you are operating less than optimal than what you should in the context of taking a responsibility, of course, once you understand the actual standing of the ethic in your perception. Getting back on topic, the male and female personification, biblically and practically. I've used this example before in the past, and this goes towards the understanding the whole seemingly contradiction, but nature turns around and sort of contradicts itself. Drawing from the capacity when you're talking about the gay and lesbian community, or this choice to do so, and it being so-called practical wrong or biblically wrong, and the ethics that reinforce why you should or shouldn't do something like that in the first place, in context to the example, and again, no personal personification from my part on this specific topic. The common male seahorse, I forget the actual breed of its existence, but the common male seahorse is capable, I've used this example in the past, of breeding its own children, and it is a 100% male-based organism. You can look this up in your common search engine, dictionaries, and or search apparatuses that extend out with a combination between dictionary capabilities only and or search engine qualities. But what I'm getting at is that the male seahorse is able to be impregnated and bear its own children. And the people who establish their ethics under the banner of the biblical and practical principle in nature and context have to re-challenge and even acknowledge that those ethics cannot hold up when something was existing before those practical principles and biblical foresights were even written. So what I'm getting at is, understand that if your ethics are obsolete, if your ethics are underperforming in context, and I'm not saying that there's not many cases where things can be expressed, but nature is the perfect archive. It exists before you become even comprehensive of your consciousness to write about nature. It existed before you even got to the point of even knowing what existence was, to acknowledge existence, to make something else to exist, to archive it. And so this organism has existed upon the natural, conscious, living natural nature of being what? An ethic of proportion that is in conflict with the majority of the prominence of ethics that have been built around the standardized nature that has been present and has been promoted. And there's nothing wrong with that, because that is the predominant. And if we're going by a process of elimination, predominantly by survival of the fittest, the dominance is that relationship between the yin and yang, the male and female, and that is a sub-dominance as far as the seahorse configuration of physical natural existence. And so, just to conclude this and not drag it on too long, what I'm getting at is, understand that even your supporting ethics that are strong, seemingly strong, can become under charge, to be attacked, to be challenged. And the question is, are you going to acknowledge the truth of those ethics in which you stand on when they become challenged and they are no longer supporting, or would you continue to acknowledge or disacknowledge the existence of the true ethic that has performed its way in existence to challenge the ethics that you currently occupy? All right, secure management faculties, where your mind is key before you unlock what is seen. Secure Agent Dreyfus. Appreciate all who've attended this, observed and listened for the ethics portion of the maintenance period week word of adherence. Again, I want to touch on a couple more things about this as far as flexibility, because I was light on it. Flexibility ethics are the ones that can easily be transitioned or collapsed, right? It's a ethic that's in place only because it has a superficial standing, and the quality of the ethics can change based off of self-realizations of understanding certain truths and or coming to actualize feelings that you may have ignored in context, even though you use that ethical front definition or image as a shield. Basically, in other words, what I want to get at is, let's say if someone says my favorite color is blue, but their whole personification is the color of red, they have not come to the conscious understanding that their favorite color is actually red, but they had a connection with blue superficially based off of their identification with it and the circumstance of choosing it off a superficial feeling of subjective likingness, but rather they were ignoring the actual reality that their personification existence was towards the color red and all the things and traits that insist red, such as hot-headedness, decisiveness, and a hot burning effect to get things done. All right, once again, appreciate everybody who observed. Thank you for looking at this content, and as far as the visual, see you on the next week word upload. Again, thank you. Dreyfuse signing off.